Hello everyone, this is Joshua Stone. Dorico has released their latest version, Dorico 5, which is now available in 3 different tiers. You got your SE, which is the free version, you got your Elements version, and the Pro version. Today I'm going to go over the Pro version with you. So let's go over some of those features today. I'm going to go over 7 of my favorites and then also some honorable mentions. The first one today is the multiple item creation. All this means is now you can actually edit and highlight a bunch of notes and change them on the fly for things like glissandis, portamentos, arpeggios, things like that. If you highlight those notes, now you can do them all in one passage or one swoop. And this was something that was more of a tedious job in version 4, where you would have to do it one at a time. Of course, this is a glissandi. If I wanted to change this to all portamento, all I need to do is this, always show, and then I'm just going to play that back. All right, and you can hear that in real time, and just the editing of that in one step really makes things that much more convenient. All right, the second thing that I want to cover is the live note editing. All that means is you can change things with your mouse now. So before, everything was just done through your keyboard. I can hold out and go up and down. Now all I need to do is you can highlight notes and I can drag them up and drag them down. You can also move them to the left and right, and it'll erase whatever was there and move those set of notes to where you put it to. But the thing is, if I want to copy them, that is something you can also do just by holding onto Alt, and you can do that. I can also in turn just copy notes over. So like if I want to do octaves, for instance, I could do that and copy them over with holding down the Alt button. All right, so let's go undo that now. I'm going to show you the next thing. The next thing is MIDI trigger regions. So MIDI trigger regions basically is a fancy word for being able to play performance-based samples or loop-based samples for drums and guitars, ukulele strumming patterns, things like that, without being able to play back or notating, I should say, the notes on the score. So I'll go ahead and solo this so you can hear what's going on right now. Okay, so with that, this just makes composing things much more convenient for those who don't want to write drum passages or guitar passages. I can see this for drum charts or jazz charts. For guitars, drums particularly, that'd be very useful. In that regard, let me just show you that what's under the hood. So over here, the first thing that you see is the note and the number that is assigned to. So this is F1 accordingly to the contact player, and the number here, it corresponds to the velocity. So if I were to go back over to the play window and actually open that up, if I press play, you can see that it's pressing that. I mean, it's actually triggering only this one, but this is in the sample. Is playing the other notes as well. But basically, that's what is triggering. And so with the note here and the velocity that is assigned to, you can do a lot. Here's an example of going to a softer sound. And here's an example of changing that to a louder sound. So let's go back to 60 and see how this works. So right now I have this all set to 60, and then you can actually trigger different sounds on the fly by just going to Shift 0. And let's say I want to switch that on bar 5. I'll do that to C1. And then all of a sudden, all the notes corresponding afterwards will be C1. So let's hear that change right over here. Okay, that is the MIDI trigger region, and very powerful. One other thing I should mention is you can actually do multiple. Let's go back here. You can actually do multiple notes. So if I just put a comma and do, like, let's say F sharp 1 and G1, it will also play those notes as well. And that's pretty useful for guitar chords and things like that play a loop pattern. All right, the next thing is the suppress playback feature. What all that means is when I have repeated passages, such as this bar 1 through 4, I can actually suppress certain passages or certain lines to not play on the first time. And so, for instance, if I wanted to go ahead and mute the violins on the first time, all you have to do is highlight those notes, click on Suppress Playback, go on passes. And so the passes correspond to your repeats. So the first pass would be 1. If I press 1 and enter, all of a sudden, if I click out of it, you'll see that the notes are grayed out. And if I press play, let me actually mute the drums real quick. Now that the drums are muted, you can hear in more detail what's being muted at and what's not. Okay, that's very powerful in the way this works, because let's say I repeated this multiple times. Let's say I did 4 times at the start like this. If I wanted to mute this on the first and third time, all you need to do is put a comma and a 3, and it'll do that. Or you can do 1-2, which means it'll suppress the first and second time, and then the third and fourth time it would play back those notes in the violins. So really powerful stuff. Imagine how that would work in context with your playback, or if you want to make audio export mix down of this composition, you can do that easily without doing any weird workarounds or anything like that. The next thing I want to talk about is the live spaces and live staging. So this is a really cool feature in that let's go ahead to this passage right here. I'm going to go ahead and solo one of these instruments. So let's just do violin. There's a visual representation of your instruments right over here on the stage. And I'm just soloing the violin 1 for now, but just to kind of give you the context, I'm going to move the violin around and press play. Okay, so what you heard right there is how these were panning over to left and right, and this corresponds to your panning. So right now it's set to left 30 over here. If I go to there, it switches to 99, a hard pan left. Let's do a hard pan right, and you see how that corresponds to the graphical interface here. So that live stage is powerful, but in conjunction with that, there's a y-axis, which if you go to the back of the stage, it does some really cool things in terms of the effects, and this is all done through the live space. The live space basically gives you 2 different sends that you can choose from, and these 2 different sends you can mix and match to do different EQ type of changes, reverb changes. So in this instance, I have a near and a far effects sends that I've made, and in the frequency I just made the highs a little bit brighter so that you're making these instruments sound more in front. And in the back, I just used a convolution reverb and increased that in the back, so you can see how this one is almost to unity, and whereas this one is -14. So there's sends being done in real time, and let me just show you how that looks in terms of the interface. So let's go to back to the beginning of this. I'm going to unmute this time. And let's look at how some of these instruments interface by soloing, let's say, the cello this time. And I'm going to press play. Okay, so as you can hear, look at the sends. Right now, sends are being fed to each side, but if I go towards the back, only the fars are being sent. Let me press play one more time. So it sounds a bit drier. Nothing is being sent to the far side, but if I go towards the y-axis up, it's being sent to the far side. So that is really powerful, and using a certain setup, you can achieve a realistic sound and make things sound more together in terms of using different sample libraries. There are two other things I want to go over with you real quick. The sixth addition to the features that I want to cover is the instruments editor. The instrument editor window basically gives you all these options from the naming scheme and staffing labels to the number of staff lines in the stave, clefs, your transpositions, and even ranges, just to customize the visibility and functionality of any instrument that you want to input into Dorico. The other one is the scrub playback, which is a really cool feature. And basically all that means is if I were to go over a certain note, let's pick this bass guitar, I can hold Control Space or Command Space in Mac, and by holding onto that key and moving your mouse around, you can actually scrub these notes. Now, that was, I think, all of the notes. Let's try that again. Oh, you know what? The reason why it's not playing is because I had this soloed. So let's try that again. Okay, so that's scrubbing all the notes that are in this passage besides the drums that I muted. And then the other thing is if you want to just solo line, all you need to do is add the shift to the control and space bar. And as you can hear, you can hear that in real time in the control of your own speed with the mouse. With that being said, there's some other honorable mentions. I won't really get into too much, but I just want to mention that you can do pitch contouring, which means notes that go up in an upwards ascending motion. The Dorico program will intelligently change the velocities to gradually get louder as you go higher, and that's a really cool feature. The ninth thing on the topic here is the per switch delay. All that means is when you're making expression maps, particularly with third-party samples, you can actually offset by milliseconds the certain articulation. So for instance, you have a sustain patch versus a staccato patch. The sustain patch might be delayed when you trigger the note, so you can offset that so that they're about the same time of when it would trigger a staccato sound. And so that's really convenient. Okay, and the last thing right here is to cover the ornaments page. Ornaments gives you more options and symbols that you can choose from. So with that being said, that rounds out our features of what's new in Dorico 5. If you want to see all of the features and all of the updates, go to their website and you can see what's available in the version history. Thank you for watching. My name is Joshua Sohn, and I'll see you next time.